Hello, my name is Abby Siebert, and the extra credit lecture I attended was on booming sand dunes by Professor Melanie L. Hunt from Caltech. Some main points of her lecture were on liquid-solid flows, measuring and modeling it, granular flows, and how that ties into booming sand dunes. So, a little background on what she taught us. Liquid-solid flow. Some examples are debris flow, slurry, mining transport, erosion on Mars. And her lab, what they focused on was how to measure this type of flow. And the measurements that so they designed a new particle liquid radiometer to measure the shear normal forces of a liquid solid mixture. And the measurements will show the dependence of the stresses on Stokes and Reynolds number, concentration, and other experimental parameters. So that's what she was working on. And by being able to measure this, they were able to model flow of such liquid solids. Then she talked about granular flow, which some examples would be dry chemicals, pharmaceutical powders, toner grain sand. And her lab's interested in mixing these and to study the effects of the vibration and waves. And this is what I learned from the lecture, and she tied this into the booming sand dunes. So she was actually featured on National Geographic. It showed an episode of her going to Death Valley to create or simulate one of these sand booms. Death Valley is one of 30 locations around the world that's known to do this. So outside of lecture, I went and watched a whole National Geographic thing, and the Nova episode she was on was really cool. So why I thought it was interesting was because I've actually never heard of booming sand dunes. I don't know if you have, but I'll play this little clip of them.
Listen. Do you hear that sound? You may think it's the wind, but it's not. The sound is coming from these sand dunes, like a long note from a musical instrument. Booming sounds like this have been heard in deserts all over the world, by ancient travelers in the Sahara, by Charles Darwin in the Chilean desert, and by this research team from California Institute of Technology. No one fully understands how and why this occurs, but Melanie Hunt and Christopher Brennan are seeking an answer here at the Dumont Dunes in Death Valley, California.
Okay, so I thought that was really cool, and I went and researched it a little more. So the theory behind it is that this booming acts like these dunes create an enormous musical instrument. The loose sand particles on the surface are like the vibrating strings of a cello, and the hard sand beneath it acts as a damper to magnify the sound, just as a cello would. So what makes this actually work is that the sand granulates are almost the same size, meaning they resonate at the same frequency. And they measure this by burying geophones underneath it. And as you saw in the video, they scooch down it to simulate one of these booms. So just some interesting facts that I found. To make one of these booming effects, the dune must be at least 150 feet high. The sand must be dry, loose sand on top, packed underneath, and the particles of sand, the greater distance between particles of sand, the lower the frequency and pitch. So this was something I found really interesting. These dunes typically resonate at a music note E, F, or G, and like I said, it depends on the spacing between them. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're generous because I really need these bonus points. Thanks.